how do you determine if you have to increase your bid or lower your bids or negate it? So let's do this just for the sake of time here. If you are getting sales, I think it is worth testing a low bid. And so if you have an 80% ACoS, let's just say hypothetically your revenue per click is coming out to 80%. So, but maybe you want to get that down to something more manageable like 40%. And so use the equation I gave earlier of revenue per click. So if you take your revenue, your sales divided by number of clicks, so that's your revenue per click, multiply that times your desired ACoS. So let's just say in this case, 40%. So we're cutting it in half. Maybe that cuts your bid in half, and maybe you're okay with that, or you start stair-stepping it down. Just because you have an 80% ACoS doesn't mean you have to live with it. Now, you might have a fewer sales at a 40% ACoS than you would an 80% ACoS, but you also aren't in this to just give money away. So I would say if you get no sales, like you've given it like 30 clicks or whatever you've given it and you have no sales, then you'd probably want to negate that exact match keyword. But if you have a high ACoS, I would recommend lowering your bid. And even if you pick up, let's say, a sale or two a month, that's a sale or two a month you wouldn't have gotten, because maybe instead of being, at the top or the middle of page 1, you show up on page 3, or you show up when people start scrolling through the carousel on the product detail page where they see, other advertised items. So I would test that out. So before you negate it, I would start looking at, can you lower the bid where you don't show up a lot, but you show up often enough and you occasionally get some sales. That's what I would do in your situation. Is how I usually look at it. And then if you have given it a long period of time and you're still getting 80%, there's nothing you can do about it, then I would either pause that keyword, or if you're finding that's more of a search term, meaning you're going after Pocket's notebook, but you keep showing up for red Pocket notebook for English class, but you don't perform well on it, then maybe you want to exact match negative on it because, maybe you're showing up for other search terms for the keyword that you were going after because it was either broader phrase. So I would start looking at some of that before making either negating it, because negating is this is my personal opinion, negating is a very blunt instrument, meaning once you negate a keyword, it's out. So I wouldn't negate too hard. I would negate a little softly and be more cautious in your negations, because it's easier to lower your bid. And then maybe you end up turning that keyword around. It just doesn't get a lot of sales over time, but it gets enough. That's how I would approach it. And then when you do, I would definitely exact match, unless it's just something totally obvious. You see over and over again, for English class seems to be a phrase, then maybe for English class, you negate at that campaign as a phrase. But for the most part, I would say, or whatever you're having problems with, then maybe if you are going to negate it, I would negate it as an exact match.